His father, Terah, was a charismatic man with a lot of power power, and for the most part, all that Abram did was tag along behind his father, Terah. And when the time came for Terah to leave Ur of the Chaldees, Abram tagged along with it, and he went with his wife Sarai and settled there in Haran. He had no identity, he had no family of his own, he had no particular accomplishments, and after a significant length of time, when he himself was quite elderly, his father dies. So now what is he? He's a nobody, and he's nowhere, and nobody knows who he is. His life has come to an end, and there is nothing more for Abram. What about Moses? Another person who lived down a full life, born into the palace of the Pharaoh in Egypt, raised up as a prince, discovered he was in fact a Hebrew, saw that his people were slaves, murdered an Egyptian, and ran away. He spent 40 years in the wilderness as a shepherd. And at the end of those 40 years, the end of his life had come. 40 years is a full career for anyone. And he was ready for retirement. He had reached the end, and there was nothing more for Moses to do. No more fresh ideas, no more great possibilities. It was all over. Or Saul of Tarsus. He had lived a full life. He had been a Pharisee, member of the Sanhedrin Council. He had been important. He had dedicated his life to wiping out the Christian faith. It was somewhat of a significant career. It came to an end, and he was done, and there was nothing left for him. But then something strange happened for Abram and Sarai. Something strange happened for Moses. Something strange happened for Saul of Tarsus. God came into their lives and said, guess what? You think you are done. You think you've lived your life. You think you're at the end of the road. But your life is just beginning. Because I have something new for you, something fresh and exciting and different. I have a whole new world of possibilities, and I'm not exactly sure how Abram and Sarai and Moses and Saul of Tarsus responded to that. As human beings, there may well have been a part of them that said, I've had enough. I've done my thing, and it's over for me. But they didn't give in to that voice. There must have been the voice and the heart inside of them that was yet ready to respond to the Word of God. For each one of them said, okay, if you say this is just the beginning, I will go ahead. And Abram and Sarai going ahead with the promise that though they were childless at that point, they would become the parents of a great nation with more descendants than the stars in heaven. They headed out of Haran down into Canaan. They began a new world together. They had no idea where they were going. They had no idea how they would fulfill this plan that God had set before them. They had no idea what the future held. But they took hold of that idea. This is not the end. This is the beginning of life for us. Away they went. And Moses, after a 40-year career as a shepherd, was wandering in the deserts of Sinai when he saw that burning bush, and the voice of God called to him, and the voice of God said, Moses, you think it's the end of your career? It's just the beginning. You're going to go back to Egypt. You're going to set free your captive people. And Moses said, okay, I will do it. This is the beginning.